AITA for telling my mother that I'm ashamed of her and excluding her from being an honour guest at my wedding. I, 28 female, and my fiancé, 30 male, are getting married in June 2026. Since our engagement, everyone is excited for the wedding and very helpful with the planning, except my mother. She didn't congratulate us, never asked about our wedding plans. She is just so uninterested and cold that I was honestly sad and confused about her reaction. When my older sister was getting married, our mother was very happy and proud, constantly sending her money, asking about the planning, went dress shopping with her, etc. I genuinely thought she would be as much supportive for me, but it's not the case. Every time I tried to engage her into conversations about the venue, time, dates, cocktail bars, dress shopping, hairstyles and so on, she would change the topic or just straight up ignore me. Yesterday we talked on the phone. She lives in a different country, and I said that I'm stressed about the wedding because I want everything to go smoothly for us and the guests. And she said, "Why bother? You're going to be divorced anyway." I was stunned. I asked why she would say that. She went on a rant that there is no thing as a good marriage because she was married 3 times and not a single one lasted long, and that my sister also got divorced after a couple of years, so why do I bother with spending so much money on a wedding that won't last? I cried and hung up on her. A couple hours later we texted and I laid out for her how much she hurt me and my fiancé, and asked how she can think so low of me and my future husband. He is a really good, hard-working, gentle, smart guy. He doesn't drink or smoke. He takes care of me in the house. The only answer I got from her was that every man will leave sooner or later. I told her I won't bother her anymore with any of the planning. I don't want any money from her. But she also won't be an honour guest at our wedding, like a special title reserved for the parents and godparents. It's very important in our culture, country, and she can explain why herself to the rest of our family. I told her that I'm ashamed of having a mother like her that can't be happy for me on my special day and that wishes me bad. She got really frantic after that, begging me not to exclude her from the honour guest title because she doesn't want to look bad in front of our family. I told her too late for that. Then she went completely deranged and started to call me names and wished that our future children would hate us. I'm currently not speaking to her. I don't want to talk to her, but apparently she shared the situation with my sister and my aunt, and now they are both calling me TA, that she is my mother and I still should honour her and thank her for raising me at our wedding, even if she doesn't want to help, and to apologise for telling her that I'm ashamed of her. AITA for excluding my mother from being an honour guest at my wedding and not wanting to apologise for saying that I'm ashamed of her. Hello Reddit, this happened a couple days ago. I went out with my husband to eat at a place nearby that we had booked for that time, and he had wanted to go for a while, and he had been really looking forward to it. And I drove him there, and we parked on the top floor of the parking garage nearby, and we got out of the car and started walking down the stairs, which were right on the edge of the parking garage. He started talking about how high up we were, and jokingly asked if I thought I could survive if I jumped down from there, and obviously I wouldn't have. As we were turning down the stairs and were right next to the edge, which had a small railing before a straight drop, he shouted out, "Say goodbye," and suddenly grabbed me and picked me up and brought me over the edge and dangled me there. And I screamed out and was so scared I thought he was going to kill me. And he held me over the edge for a second and then pulled me back and put me down, and I was in shock, and he was laughing like it was the funniest thing ever, and I was still processing what he just did to me. I was legitimately shaking, and I lost my appetite and mood to be out, and I just decided I wanted to go home. And I told him I'm going home, and he said it was just a joke and he was just trying to have fun. And I told him he can come home with me now, or he can take the bus, but I'm driving home right now. And he said I ruined the date because he'd really been wanting to, you might eat there, and huffed on the way back. And I was still shocked because I was literally hanging over the edge. And I called to tell them we aren't showing up. And I got home and was just thinking about it and started crying. And he didn't even come over and console me. And he apologised later, but it was like, sorry, you got scared instead of sorry for doing something I shouldn't have, and my mood was just ruined the rest of the day. So Reddit, am I the arsehole for going home? NTA, how long have you been married? Is he often someone who finds pranks hysterical? Do you have a very large life insurance policy? I'm just trying to understand what made him think this was okay. in TA. That's a form of criminal assault. It's not funny, it's not a prank, it's insane. He needs to talk to a professional about his lack of boundaries, common sense and the law. You need to talk to someone as well because that's something so serious, and you're wondering if you are an asshole for going home. You should be wondering if AITA for wanting to get a divorce. Do you honestly think this was a prank or a trial run? AITA for leaving my friend on the ice after she planned a trip using my flat as her accommodation, despite me telling her I'm not available on the dates she planned. Me, 29F, had a friend. Let's call her Emma, 32F. I live in London and Emma lives in Manchester. We met before I moved to London, in a smaller town we both lived in, and we met and became friends in 2013 on a fan page of an actor we both liked, and realising we lived close by, we started hanging out in person. Everything was normal when we both lived in the smaller town, and then in 2015 she moved to Manchester for work. We stayed in touch. I was never invited to visit her, even for a day, but I didn't think much of it back then. Then in 2016 I got a job in London and moved here, and that's when the signs I see in retrospect began. See, Emma is Arsenal fan, and I was renting a flat very close to the stadium. Suddenly Emma was very eager to meet in person again, which I was happy to do too, because I was excited about the move, and also haven't seen her in a long time. Only once she arrived at my flat, she told me she wanted to come this specific weekend because there was Arsenal game. For the first couple years, admittedly, it went over my head that every single time she visited, it was coincidentally a game. I don't follow football, so I never knew until she told me, which for the first couple years was upon her arrival. With time I changed job for one that was a regular 9 to 5, but because of the industry, often more like 9 to 8, she started coming for every other game. I feel like an idiot, because the first thing that started making me uncomfortable was that I told her that I couldn't take time off every time she's over, and she'd say it's absolutely fine. But then as her stay progressed, she'd get more and more upset that I don't spend time with her. I was at work all day, came back home exhausted to her, not even having done groceries for whatever dinner she wanted, asking when I'll be making food. She was also always unhappy with the food choice I made, never saying what she wanted, but always being unhappy with whatever I came up with. It was the same with whatever pastimes I planned for us in the evenings, or over the weekends. She never had any input, but was complaining about every aspect of what I came up with. However, the way she was saying it, framing it like it's my lack of consideration, made me feel like I'm a shit friend. When the pandemic was truly done and dusted, she shifted from guilting me into agreeing for her to come to ignoring my responses if I said I can't on those dates. For reasons like, I will be gone all day because I was going to Comic-Con, or my room floor is fully taken up by my costume and props in progress, or that there's already another friend who flew in from abroad staying with me those dates. She'd say, oh, that's okay. And then the day before, I'll get a text from her with her train details asking me to come get her from the station. All this time, she's never invited me to visit her in Manchester, even though I asked her when she would have time for me multiple times. The last straw happened the end of last year. First, as per usual at that point, she invited herself for the Christmas break, to watch the game obviously. Even though at this point we've known each other for over 10 years, and she knew Christmas is a difficult time for me, and I prefer to be alone. She also got tickets for the New Year Eve fireworks show by the Thames, for both of us, even though I explicitly told her I didn't want to go, because 1, I don't do well in crowds this dense, and 2, I had a trapped nerve in my lower back, and I couldn't stand or walk for long periods of time. If you don't know, you have to show up a couple of hours in advance to even get into the viewing area for these fireworks, not to mention have a good spot, and then it's about 20 minutes walk to the closest open bus or tube stop after the show ended. I told her all of these reasons when she asked initially. Obviously, she was extremely upset with me for not going with her, saying she misunderstood because I wasn't very clear, so she had bought a ticket for me and was now out of pocket. She also left way too late, even though I told her she needs to be there early to get in, and naturally wasn't let in and missed the show completely, which again she was mad at me for again. At that point I was extremely fed up with her, and then she sat and connected her phone to the TV. We were in the middle of a TV show, and started booking her train for the next visit, going through how the exact game date was not yet set, but it's gonna be between these 3 days, so she's gonna come for all 3. Not a single sentence out of her mouth was a question if I'm free those days, or if the train arrival times would work for me. Just her planning around her shifts and Arsenal games. Well, the chance had it, I already had plans and flights booked to visit my family in Austria. I tried saying that it doesn't really work for me, but she dismissed me saying it's okay. As I watched her pay for the trains, I once again said, I am not free to host her those days. But she just responded, I never have time for her anymore. Anyway, so it's fine, she's going to come anyway. Come the day before her planned visit, in February this year. She sent me a reminder of what time her train comes. I simply responded that I'm not in the UK and focused on spending time with my family. When I looked at my phone again, it was a barrage of missed calls. She's never called me before in all the years we knew each other. And messages, all asking what she's supposed to do now. Not one question about where I am and if everything is okay. Reminder from her perspective. I went abroad suddenly, considering she's never asked or listened when I said those dates don't work for me. I also had messages from my flatmates who were looped in on the situation, and they were the same, lamenting this is what I've done, asking if they could let her in. Not a single question if they knew where I went or if something bad happened. They were a couple, and also genuinely not in the flat at the time. It took her 3 days to send a message saying she hoped everything was okay, closely followed by complaint about how difficult situation this puts her in, and how she was out of pocket for the hostel, and request I make a copy of my keys for her in case this happens in the future. I responded, it's good to know that all she cared about is the free accommodation I can provide. I then blocked her promptly everywhere I could. My flatmates and close friends say I've made a right decision and good riddance, but I had some colleagues say it was a bitch move and I should have tried harder to tell her she couldn't come. Are my friends biased? Am I the arsehole here? I 25F don't have a relationship with my father anymore, and a very limited one with my half-siblings, 14 and 15. And I never had a relationship with their mother, who is my father's wife and his former mistress, other woman, affair partner. When my mum was alive, he was cheating on my mum with his current wife and some others. But current wife was the main affair partner. I learned this a few weeks after my mum died because my uncle and father were fighting about it. Seems my uncle found my father and his second wife together when mum in hospital dying. My mum had been sick for all of 3 weeks before she died, and my father was very clearly with these other women before that too. His wife knew he was married, and she even knew that his wife was dying in the hospital, and she chose to marry him a few months later anyway. I was so young at the time that it was traumatic going from a healthy-ish mum had asthma, mum to a mum who had the flu and then pneumonia, and was then gone in a 3-week span. Then to find out that the parent you were left with was a disgusting, filthy cheater who couldn't even be there for his daughter when her mum was sick, and remarries after less than a year to the woman he was with when she was saying goodbye to her mum. My relationship with my father never recovered from me learning the truth. I never liked his wife, and I made sure I shut her out anytime she tried to get close to me. I did develop a relationship of sorts with my half-siblings, but there were tensions there because they know how I feel about their parents, and they take offence to me not giving their mum a chance. Now they've all learnt my father has cheated on her, and she reached out to me to cry about it, but I shut her down and told her to go to hell. Then my half-siblings said they needed to talk to me, and they gave me hell for not being there for their mum, and to imagine how devastated she is. I know they're young still, so I'm trying to not be too hard on them, but I did make it clear that I was not there for their mum. They tried to defend her, and she told me she never did anything bad to me, and I always treated her like the enemy. I reminded her she was always one of the villains in my eyes. Then I was told yet again that our father had hurt her, and how she deserved better, and she needed help, and she was cheated on. I asked why I'm supposed to care when she's nothing to me, and she was one of the other women in my parents' marriage. My half-siblings told me she's their mother, and I should care about her for them, and how they don't want me as a sister if I take so much joy out of their mum being cheated on. I told them that was okay and I'd just leave. But they said I really should care when someone's cheated on because It's bad and dangerous, and they scrambled to come up with other stuff. Their mother said I shouldn't be talking to teens like that, and I told her she needed to stop her kids bringing me into this then. I want to figure out if I was wrong to ask that in front of my half-siblings specifically. So AITA, tell your siblings to just give the other woman a chance. After all, she never did anything bad to them, and she's not the enemy. They're old enough to learn that how you treat others will come back to you, and Mum is getting her karma. She married a cheater, and knew for sure. What did she expect? She thought she was the one. FAFO.